You might think that gay conversion therapy, a literal attempt to un-gay people, is only supported by Texan assault rifle wielding pensioners, but unfortunately, that's not the case.
This bizarre form of therapy is practiced all over the Western world, especially here in the UK. In fact, here in Britain, as many as 5% of LGBT people have been offered it, with 2% undergoing the practice.
Which brings us on to the big question: why the hell is it still legal?
Until the late 70s, gay conversion therapy was offered by the NHS, normally utilising behavioural aversion therapy with electric shocks in an attempt to make people heterosexual.
Maddeningly, medical professionals eventually proved that you can't electrocute the gayness out of people, and this science, along with changing attitudes towards homosexuality, compelled the NHS to cease the practice. But it was never made illegal, and because of this, certain religious groups and therapists continue the practice in the UK.
In 2017, journalist Josh Parry went undercover to a church in Liverpool, where he was offered the following frankly insane treatment.
They told me to starve for up to 3 days at a time with no food or water, that would deliver me from the devil that sort of possessed me to make me gay.
And these techniques often stretch to even darker proportions.
And that ranges from the sort of lower end of the scale, which is prayer therapy, group prayers, right through to the most horrendous practices such as corrective rape.
Now, the science of sexuality is pretty clear. We know that sexual orientation is governed by biological factors like genetics. We know that same-sex relations are found in every major animal group. We definitely know that homosexuality has nothing to do with this guy.
And perhaps most crucially, we know that sexual orientation can't be changed through therapy. As early as 1935, neurologist Sigmund Freud was contacted by a mother who wanted her son's homosexuality therapized out of him. Freud pointed out that the process was impossible, adding that homosexuality is nothing to be ashamed of, no vice, no degradation. It cannot be classified as an illness. So okay, what nutcases disagree with all that?
Well, Mike Davidson of the Christian group Core Issues Trust unironically refers to himself as ex-gay and is a firm believer in gay conversion therapy.
As well as sad and disappointing, Mike is also stupid, claiming that conversion therapy won't be banned ultimately because mandatory gay just won't work. This is despite clear evidence that societal ignorance, prejudice and pressure to conform to heterosexual desires are the real dangers to gay people's mental health, not to mention the damage caused by conversion therapy.
It destroys their lives, they lose their sense of community, they are expelled from their churches, expelled from their families.
The issue of conversion therapy is ultimately a political one. No matter how much science weighs in favour of banning the practice, resistance to the ban is centred in religious ideology and bigotry.
In 1952, Alan Turing, the British mathematician who cracked the Enigma code and played a crucial role in the Allied victory of World War II, was prosecuted for being homosexual. Given the choice between chemical castration and imprisonment, he chose the former and committed suicide 2 years later.
A man now rightly regarded as a hero died ostracised and abused because of his sexuality. And the same reactionary forces that killed Alan Turing are still present in our society today. If you look past the science, this becomes a simple moral question. Do you believe that homosexuality is a sin or an illness, or are you a decent, functioning human being?
Despite pledging to ban conversion therapy, the UK government has yet to do so. And until they do, more lives will be ruined and potentially lost, and stigma against LGBT people will continue.
Where religious groups point out that people choose to undergo the therapy themselves, they ignore the societal pressures at play, the authority of religious leaders, and the grave damage that this therapy causes. Where they argue that a ban will infringe on their religious freedoms, they ignore successful bans in Australia, Canada, the US and Germany. Now, unlike the UK government, we don't have to toe any lines here, so my final message to Mike Davidson specifically is f*** off, you enormous bellend.